And welcome to Bottom of the Clutch. I am Sean Norberg. Today, I have Navarre Moore, owner of the Seattle Melonheads in our current online league and the first ever Clutch Baseball Online League champion of the world. Navarre, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great, Sean. Thank you.
Tell us so far how your season's been going in Season 3 of this Clutch Online League.
Season 3's been going great. Just clinched the Pacific Division, say about a week ago. The win over Avocados. Had to take down Scherzer for it. It's been a roller coaster. Started off 6-2, finished 9-7, so I'll let you fill in the rest.
So today I have you on. I want to have you on as one of my first people ever to talk about how you built your roster. What is the way you constructed and went about it? Did you build it around your stadium? Did you build your team around a strategy deck? Or did you really just build a team based around certain core players you wanted to keep and then everything else around just fell into place?
For the online league, since we are assigned stadiums, I typically try to build my teams around the stadiums. And in this case, I got Seattle. So I got really lucky in that I get to play with a lot of my favorite players. I knew for sure that I wanted Cano because that 12 on base, 13 against righties is pretty dang good, especially with the natural homer. In addition to that, the crop of players that get a bonus from the stadium effect are really good players. You're playing half your games at home, half your games on the road. So I can take, Gene Segura, I can take Nelson Cruz and D. Gordon on the road and not be afraid that they'll do bad. We're talking 12, 13 on-base guys with good fielding, good charts. And then just when I play at home, they get even better. And so for me, it was pretty easy filling up a lineup. I just had two more players I need to fill in. And that was fairly easy for me as well.
Go through about it and tell me, who were your core players that you had to have on the team? You had to have them on there.
Outside of Seattle, the Seattle players, because none of them are really in question except for Ben Gamel. And the only reason Gamel got questioned is because Jason Hayward is about the same price with the same on base, but he has the perfect fielding with the Gold Glove icon, and so that boost would be huge. But I ultimately went with the Seattle effect. Ozuna was the one I really wanted because he has 4 icons. What separates some teams from the other is how you play your strategy cards. And to have all those icons with that extra bonus is huge. He affects the game in so many ways. And I needed a first baseman since Seattle doesn't have one. And it just so happened that Hosmer fit perfectly behind Nelson Cruz. And then I also wanted Zach Greinke. From there, it was just finding all the pieces that fit in between. I knew I wanted an ace going into this, so I can have at least 4 games where I'm like, I feel confident and I know I can win this. And I know a lot of innings are down across the board for starting pitching, so I know I wanted a good bullpen as well. And that was kind of my process of making this team.
Tell us, what was it like winning the first ever Clutch Championship online? What was it like? What were the big moments that happened? Tell us all about it.
It was kind of a whirlwind. I actually got to face Matt Aarons in the championship, which he's the other person who's made the playoffs all 3 seasons. So I got to take on the best of the best right from the bat. It was very satisfying because my stadium was St. Louis, and he's a Cardinals fan. And while there weren't any big moments, Matt Carpenter definitely tore his team up to the point where he put Carpenter on his team the next season because he noticed how good that chart was. That card was scary because he had 13 on base. He doubled at 14 with a natural homer. I think a lot of people miss that because he was just +1 defense and the infield ends. Like, there's nowhere you can put him. I just bit the bullet and put him at second base, put Simmons at shortstop, and got that lefty bat that neutralized the stadium.
Yeah, that's great. I love putting guys on my team. I love stacking, especially in the outfield, someone with a Gold Glove icon and maybe a +4 or 5. And then maybe another +3 or 4 guy, and then, using that third spot and eating the defense there, and throwing someone on there with an incredible chart like that, like where you're homering on 18 or doubling on 20. I love those kinds of cards.
Yeah, I agree. The biggest struggle for this team was having Segura as my shortstop because center field and shortstop can get up to +5.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you don't pay up for defense in that position, it lowers the cap completely, and it lowers it more drastically than other positions. For example, like if it's a 2 in left field, right field, or a second base shortstop, you can usually make that up with a good defensive center fielder. Whereas at shortstop, 2 fielding from Segura, it's a little cringeworthy, but 13 on base, B speed, and 1 to 4 out. I could not. And the stadium bonus, which is huge.
Insult to injury, losing at your home stadium in the championship with one of your team's best players taking advantage of you.
It was pretty satisfying, and like I said, he hated it so much that he put Carpenter on his team next season.
So we're in season 3 right now, and your team is the Seattle Melonheads. Can you tell us more about that team logo and that team name?
Oh man, it's an homage to backyard baseball. A beautiful logo with the sunglasses and the 8-bit. Like it was too perfect not to.
Oh yeah, who is your favorite player in backyard baseball?
I mean, I think the obvious answer is Pablo. If I can give an underrated pick, I mean, Pete Wheeler was killer, and he had a lot more power than people gave him credit for.
You weren't a fan of the real MLB players?
I was, but I feel like that's also cheating. Like, I think I played 2003, so obviously I had to go with Ichiro. At a certain point, I would always load my team with, it was like Jeter at second, like Nomar third, A-Rod at short, like, and that just got too good.
And then Mark McGwire at first, right? My favorite player was Randy Johnson, of course. Even he had a bat in the game.
Oh gosh, he was so good. He was actually a pretty good hitter too.
Yeah. So knowing you're a Seattle Mariners fan, we are going to do some Seattle Mariners trivia right now.
Oh man.
So I will start you out easy, and we'll work our way up. Question number 1, who has hit the most home runs all time for the Mariners?
Oh, it's Griffey.
Ken Griffey Jr., the kid, right? Ken Griffey has 417 career home runs during his Mariners tenure. Question number 2, who has the most hits all time for the Seattle Mariners?
Oh, it's gotta be Ager.
Final answer?
Oh man.
Now, Edgar does lead in some statistics for the Mariners.
I'm gonna stick with it because if it's Ichiro, it's Ichiro by like 100 hits.
And the answer is Ichiro Suzuki with 2,542 hits as a Mariner. Unbelievable, coming over at age 27 and doing that. Absolutely unbelievable.
I mean, when you hit 200 hits per season for like 9 straight years, yeah, that'll add up quickly.
Yeah, to give you your credit though, Edgar Martinez does lead the Seattle Mariners in all-time on base. I'll tell you right now, we are doing pre-orders for our mid-season All-Star set, where if you pre-order, you will get an Ichiro Suzuki 2001 career year card.
A chance to preview it. It is sick.
One of the best seasons in baseball history. At age 27, Ichiro comes over to the Seattle Mariners that break the all-time win record. He wins Rookie of the Year, MVP, and I'm trying to remember, how did the Seattle Mariners season end that year? Shoot.
With 116 wins, the most of all time.
116 wins. They did win 116 games, but what happened in the postseason? I'm trying to remember.
What happens every Mariners postseason?
Oh, God. You know what? I shouldn't be bragging. It's 2001, and we all know what happened in Game 7 in 2001, so I have some dark memories of that year as well.
If it makes you feel better, that was the last time the Mariners made the playoffs, so.
Yeah, that's pretty painful. But hey, right now, the Seattle Mariners, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Who threw the first no-hitter in Seattle Mariners history?
Ooh. I think we've had 7 up to this point. See, I'm torn between 2 answers. One that feels too easy. I'm like 90% sure it's Randy Johnson.
Go with the gut. You got to go with the gut.
Let's go with Randy Johnson.
The answer is on June 2nd, 1990, Randy Johnson threw the first Mariners no-hitter in history.
Is it between that and Chris Bozio?
And next question, who is the first Seattle Mariner to ever hit for the cycle? This is a little trickier now. It's not a household name. I will say this, his name was once dropped in a Seinfeld episode.
That doesn't. Oh, that actually does help.
What the hell did you trade Jay Buhner for? He had 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs last year. He's got a rocket for an arm. You don't know what the hell you're doing.
Is it Jay Buhner?
It is Jay Buhner. So, on June 23rd, 1993, Jay Buhner became the first ever Seattle Mariner to hit for the cycle.
Wow.
That brings us to our final trivia question. How many World Series championships do the Seattle Mariners have?
As many as they have World Series appearances. Big ol' 0.
Hey, your answer should be 2018 World Champions.
Oh yeah, touche. Except for I'm a Mariners fan, and so I'm no better than to get my hopes up.
Yeah, it's almost like Mets fans for me in New York knowing them. Mariners aside in their future playoff run, what can we expect from you right now in your future Season 3 playoff run right now in the online league?
Hopefully good things. It's a little difficult to say because I don't know who my opponent is yet. I usually prepare my strat deck differently depending on who I'm playing. I'm hoping to face the Strix in the playoffs because I think it's a lineup that I can compete really well with. So hopefully I get ahead early at home and take game 1, which will take a huge load off in game 2. And if we have to go to game 3, it's going back to Seattle, which Skaggs has been pretty good for me this year. And then if I can make it to the next round, it'll get easier because I'll have Greinke for game 1.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but your championship ring isn't the only one in the household, is it?
No, it is not.
I'm pretty sure championship rings run in the family or the household over there. Do you want to tell me a little more about that?
So there have been 2 seasons, and this location in the United States has won both of them. So I won the first season. Last season, my fiance Katie won in... I don't think there will ever be a better season because she got in the playoffs at 500. But I don't think there'll ever be a better run or better Cinderella story than what she pulled off. Because I think she had to win her last 5 games in order to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
She was on the road the entire time, and then she was down, I think, 3 or 5 in the 9th inning just to send it into extras.
Oh my gosh.
And then won in extra innings. So game 5, the very last game of the season, she was down 6-0 after the first inning. Ended up coming back in the last 2 innings to tie it, and then won in extras. And it was just never mention it to Pat because it's still a sore subject. Which ironically, he knocked me out of the playoffs. I had an 8-run lead in the 9th inning against him in game 2, and he beat me in the 9th. It was bad.
Well, you got to tell us when we could have Katie on for an interview, because we got to interview the first female champion of Clutch.
I know, and I told her that. I was like, if we can get in before she leaves, it'd be good. But yeah, she'll be back in August.
Okay, well, we'll have to get a video up in August. We're probably going to run this channel, I would assume, through October, at least through the playoffs. Since your fiance, is a Clutch champion of baseball, and I often play with my wife, we actually have plans for doing Sunday night baseball preview games we're going to do. We're going to play each other on here. It'd be fun to play a game against you, but I think it would be very interesting if we had our first ever all-female match, your fiance versus my wife, in the first ever female championship. Because, for the last year, up until, your fiance won our Clutch championship, my wife has always been under the intent, and I give her credit, she is the best female Clutch player in the world. Now, that can't be true. Your fiance has won a championship, so now my wife's got to back it up now.
That's true. Hey, if you expand the league to... I think you guys are talking about doing... 2 different leagues next year in order to progress to relegation. Kind of setting up 2 20-team leagues and then having relegation from there. So I think there's a lot of room for growth.
I'm sure there's going to be a huge expansion in Clutch Online League. We're growing all the time. When she gets back, or we're going to have to call her via satellite and see if she's going to accept the challenge for my wife to play for the first time on YouTube.
I think that could be fun.
So I want to congratulate you, on your first championship, because you've never gotten that public announcement last year before we had this page. You're on an incredible run for this year. I'm sure we'll have you back on the show. Navarre, thank you for coming on today. Best of luck the rest of the way. Is there any kind of message that you, as the Seattle Melonheads owner, insert Twitter name here?
Yeah, so my @ is @SEA Melonheads. So that's the team Twitter.
So if you want to follow Navarre's team through the rest of the season, go down to Twitter right there, follow his Twitter handle, or you can follow us @Clutch Cards on any of our social media on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or make sure you check out our website at www.clutchmoment.com, and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos about this, and if you want to see his fiance kick his butt in a future game on YouTube on here.
I wouldn't go that far. I think I can take her.
Well, we'll have to see then, right?
Absolutely. That's why we play the game.
We got a lot of smack talk going on. So, well, Navarre, thanks for coming on. Best of luck the rest of the season.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Sean. Look forward to coming back and answering any questions. Love talking about clutch.
As always, I'm Sean Norberg, and this has been Bottom of the Clutch.